Welcome to Stationeers. Today we're going to be doing a tutorial about Venus, getting started on Venus specifically. Venus is a very hot planet and it's a very high pressure planet, and that's probably the most unique thing about this planet. Vulcan is hot, Venus has high pressure. It's over 200 kilopascals during the day. When you get started, you need to have a strategy. Now, just so you see here, we're playing this on Stationeer difficulty, which means that you have to open your visor to eat, and a hunger rate of 1.0. So I'm trying to set up everything here as vanilla as possible. We don't want to play with any glitches, so we're not going to use any vacuum cooling, just to kind of keep it fair. And we don't want to use any glitches like eating tomatoes through our visor, which for some reason it allows you to do. And you could technically open your visor and take a drink or eat. And if you did it quick enough, you wouldn't take any damage. But obviously, that's kind of a glitch, so we're not going to play that way. So the main strategy that we're using for Vulcan here, or sorry, for Venus, is to make an enclosure out of frames. So frames can withstand, any kind of pressure, infinite pressure. If you build out of walls, then as soon as you decompress, you're going to have a wall cave in on you or blow in on you. So by using the frames to build our enclosure here, this will be able to withstand a depressurization. Now, as you can see, we're already down to 78% thirst there. That stat's going to keep going down very quickly. And so our race here is to build a structure and get a breathable atmosphere in here as quickly as we can. In order to do that, we're actually going to bring the tank in, the oxygen tank, off the lander right away, and we're going to use that to set up our atmosphere. But in order to do that, we're going to have to bring the existing atmosphere in there down to nothing. Before you get your enclosure set up, and we're kind of using an odd shape here, what we're trying to do is minimize the amount of internal area so that we don't have to use as much oxygen from our tank to pressurize it. But at the same time, we really do want to have lots of wall area in there for mounting things. So get your solar panel set up. You'll notice I think I missed putting the glass on there. If you follow this strategy, you can make mistakes. One major tip here is always put your tanks in before you put the doors on. These are composite doors. You have to use composite doors on your enclosure, and that's because they resist up to 300 kilopascals. With the atmosphere as it is, you really need the stronger doors. Don't use glass doors. But you'd better get the tanks inside first, because the composite doors have a narrower opening. So get them in there as quickly as possible and then put your doors on. The main things to get out at first are, well, you need any of the electrical things that you're going to hook up on the first day. So you want your vents, your active vents. Actually forgot to bring that in here on this playthrough. And you'll need pipes to hook up your active vents so you can pump out the air. And you want to get your APCs so you can be charging. And you want to get the battery charger. You don't need it, but you should get it in there too. Here I'm putting the pipes on the outside, just so that I can finish hooking it up from the inside later. This is where all of the air from the inside of the base is going to go. Basically using that as a tank. Here I've closed myself in. You'll notice that it's giving me alarms for my waste tank. Now this first tank of air I basically wasted because I released into this atmosphere and it's going to get pulled out of the base. We're going to try really hard not to waste any oxygen. That waste tank is full of oxygen because in the hot atmosphere of Venus, 460 degrees, as it releases oxygen into your suit, it has to release extra in order to put the heat somewhere when it's trying to cool your suit. So that waste tank is just filling up really fast, but you don't want to lose it. Later on, we've got some strategies in here for recovering some of that oxygen. You can see I put the battery charger in there connected directly to the input from the solar panel. That's just a little trick you can use because a lot of people leave it connected after the APCs, but there's really no need to do that. In this early stage of the game, you only want to charge those batteries when you have power to charge with. Also, I didn't connect the output of the APCs together because I don't want to inadvertently drain all of my batteries at once. I always like to have a backup. Here you can see I forgot the active vent, so I had to go back outside and get it. You don't have to get the airlock all going immediately, but it's nice to start getting the parts off the lander for it. I'm putting the active vents up in the upper right corners here, upper right and upper left corners, just to minimize the amount of pipe that's actually inside of the airlock, because that pipe is going to end up leaking heat from inside to, or from outside to inside. Your biggest battle here on Venus is heat, trying to keep the cool air inside and the hot air outside. The nice thing is that these full frames are fully insulated, but we have to keep poking these holes in by running pipes in and out, and we want to minimize that as much as we can. Here we've started vacuuming out all the air in the base. I'm going to do a little extra wiring while we're here. And since we have a spot for it, probably end up putting the console on the wall as well. This is about where I noticed that I forgot to hook up the solar panel, so I was draining my battery here. Since we have a moment, we're going to clean up our inventory a bit. Put the atmospheric card in the tablet. So we almost got the pressure down. It used to be on Venus that it had a day-night cycle with a differing temperature, just like Vulcan. And at night it went down to about 100 degrees, so you were safe to go out at night. The nice thing about changing it to be so much more severe and 460 degrees all the time is that really you don't have to worry about going in or out during the day or during the night. You just go out whenever, and I actually prefer that. I like to go out and see the scenery a little bit during the daytime. I find that's a better change. It certainly makes it more intense, though. You really have to limit your time outside. At the beginning of the game, the biggest time crunch is your waste tank filling up. here we are. We're actually using the pressure regulator on the oxygen tank to pressurize the base. You only have to go up to about 20 kPa to make it breathable. We're going to go to 30 kPa to start. You'll notice that it's 20 degrees because that's the temperature of the oxygen in the tank. There, we finally just got our first drink, so we didn't lose too much health there. We have 3 more bottles of water on the lander. And of course we have a big water tank. We just have no way to refill water bottles. Okay, you'll notice I dumped my waste tank. This time I dumped it inside the base. So it did warm up the base a little bit by about 8 degrees. But at least we didn't lose that oxygen this time. Now we're going to manually cycle the airlock, pull all the air in, the oxygen in, then we're going to dump some air back out. Now this vent is not going to pressurize past 100 kilopascals. That's just because they have an internal setting set to that, and you'd need a logic writer to override that, and it's a little bit glitchy at the moment. Here I am fixing my solar panel. At least the sun's still up. Now it's time to build a little bit of a front porch for our base. I'm putting this other frame underneath the corner of the base, just because I won't be able to access it later. And there's might be some pipes around the bottom. There's not really right now, but I just felt like we should fill it in. Now we're going to get busy on our porch. The ground's a little uneven here. We're going to have to go back and use our drill, our mining drill, to flatten it out a bit. No need to fill these frames in. These are all just outdoor frames for the moment. I'm going to swap my tool belt and my mining belt here. Opened up the ground a little bit and we can place that last frame in there. Now we want to build a little bit more of a platform out here because that's where our autolathe is going to go. Get rid of this from our inventory. It's going to be used in the airlock later. Now we need to go and get our equipment off the lander. Got the solid fuel generator, auto lathe, and arc furnace. And we're going to bring some food because the next time we go inside we want to eat. Here we want the batteries. Throw the batteries in the chargers. And you can see we're getting alarms for our oxygen depleting. You can run it out of oxygen. You still have a minute or two. You'll notice this air is a little hotter than we left. It's 35 degrees now. It's going to keep heating up. So we have to think of a way to cool it down. So we're going to refill our air tank. And we're going to do something. Drop our food here. Make sure you close the door. Manually cycle out the airlock. Now we can get started building our equipment. Putting the arc furnace there because we may want to enclose this area out here eventually, and just putting it outside where it could exist outside once we enclose it would be useful. You notice that when we built the base, we actually I pointed the front door towards the east. Doing that because I want the doors of this future enclosure to kind of point east and west, and I would still like to have windows, so then the windows along the side might end up pointing north and south, and north-south windows on Venus would actually not let as much light in, and light really heats up our room on Venus. We've got the solid fuel generator there, but we don't really have enough cable to connect it all. Here we're going to get some more water and so on off the lander and get it inside because we're running out of thirst again. Just checking the lander for other stuff. Looks good. You'll notice we're not making use of the portable AC and portable air scrubber. Mostly that's because they're just too big. You try to get them in there, and then you can't get them back out through the composite doors. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Our strategy here is going to be to use the water in the water tank as kind of a passive cooling system. Once we get some pipes hooked up to it, that's going to help cool the area. Our main goals are get a breathable atmosphere so we can drink, which we've done. Try not to lose too much oxygen in the process, and get a water filler built as soon as possible. There goes bottle number 2. Now the waste tank that we brought in, it's not only does it have a lot of oxygen, but it's very hot. And if we just release it on the inside, it's going to keep raising the internal temperature of the room. So what I just did here was actually mixed it with my oxygen tank to cool it down, and then released it into the room. So actually that brought the temperature of the room down instead of bringing it up. It left a little bit of oxygen in the waste tank, but there's always oxygen in the waste tank. Here's water bottle number 3, getting started. Now remember, we're still trying to get our hydraulic pipe bender built. That's really the next major hurdle here. Without a hydraulic pipe bender, we can't make the things we need to refill our water bottles. And for that, well, we need to build some equipment and we need to do some mining. We can't do any smelting until we get the arc furnace hooked up to the cable. So we're going to do that first. And while we're here, we might as well hook up the auto lathe because we're going to need that very soon. Those 8 cables, that's not enough to hook up the solid fuel generator, so we will have to build some more cables in the auto lathe first. So we're going to need some copper. And I see some gold there. We need a few pieces of gold. And of course we need some iron. We should also be looking for a little bit of silicon, because we do need silicon to make our water filler. I think we only need 8 grams of it though. And we will eventually need some coal, so be on the lookout for a bit of coal. Don't be afraid to use your jetpack either. There's a decent amount of gas in your jetpack, and it's eventually not that hard to refill it. You can refill it with anything. I'm going to start getting this connected while the arc furnace does its thing. I want to put another solar panel in this spot, that's why I'm going around the frame here. And we're out. I stopped it there just so that I could get some of the copper out and start working on the cables. Happens to be some silicon right there, so let's get some of that. There we go. 8 silicon, that's all we need. Finish up that wiring to the solid fuel generator. For some coal. Who knows, maybe there is coal on Venus. I don't think so though. I would really like to see them change the name to carbon or carboniferous deposit or something. Carbonaceous deposit would probably be more accurate. I've never really liked the idea of coal being in the game. The gold takes a lot of energy to smelt in the arc furnace, so it's a good idea to have your solid fuel generator running when you do that, at least during the night. You can tell our waste tank is getting pretty high again.
Hydration critical.
The temperature is still well below 40 degrees. 50 degrees is kind of the limit. That's where the alarms start going off. And that's why I always like to keep the atmosphere below 50 for breathable levels. We're going to do the same trick, fill the oxygen tank, Let's have a look at what's in there. Oh, it's only at 23 degrees. That's not too bad.
Air tank critical. Waste tank critical.
Every time we do this little trick, we're adding oxygen into the inner environment. And there's only so many times we can do that. We don't have a way to put the oxygen back in the tank yet. That's another reason we need a hydraulic pipe bender. That's the third bottle done. We'd better get that hydraulic pipe bender finished or we're going to be very thirsty. Every time we cycle this airlock and go out, we're pumping more atmosphere from the airlock into it than we replenish when we go back in. So the outside pipe here is actually going to increase in pressure. And we can do that quite a bit. Those pipes can handle 60 megapascals, but it's something that we eventually have to take a look at. Let's clear an area for our hydraulic pipe bender here. Frames, but we only have 3 sheets and we're going to need 2 sheets to make the hydraulic pipe bender, so let's just only weld 1 on here. We're running out of power and I don't think we have any solar yet. Nope, not generating any power yet. The sun's not high enough, so let's throw some fuel in the furnace. It's a good time to smelt up that silicon.
Power low.
While you're waiting, it's a good time to go mine. You generally need lots of iron, copper, a little bit of gold, coal of course. Anytime you get a chance to pick up some of that, just go ahead and do it. There's our silicon. Once we get the hydraulic pipe bender built, we're going to need extra materials for that, so we might as well get it smelting. While you're running your generator, it's a good idea just to keep uncharged batteries or batteries that aren't fully charged in the charger. That way you're capturing as much of that energy as you can. And there's our hydraulic pipe bender. Still have 45% thirst left. We're going to need some more gold probably. remember we're going to need 4 cable coils just to make the hydraulic pipe bender, so we should make some more.
Waste tank. Caution.
Be careful not to connect that last cable in there while one of your machines is making something, because it'll stop what it's making.
Power low.
And our waste tank is full again. But that's just a day on Venus.
Hydration.
Once you get the hydraulic pipe bender sorted out, you can solve that problem by having more waste tanks. And then you can just swap them. 2 waste tanks will generally last for 1 oxygen tank's worth of breathing. This is it. That's 13% left. The last bit of water.
Air tank. Critical. Waste tank. Critical.
If you happen to forget to close the door and start pulling all the air in, you can just reverse the vent, put it back out, then close the door, and then do it right. The worst thing you could do is pump the outside air into the inside of your base. Let's finish building this hydraulic pipe bender. Yes. Now, we need the things that are going to allow us to connect that big tank of water to a water bottle filler. So that's a tank connector, some pieces of pipe, water pipe or liquid pipe as it is, and the filler itself. You really have to question the morals of a company that would send you to Venus and not give you the connector to attach your big tank of water to your water bottle. You know, it just makes you think about unionizing or something. Although I've heard they've got it worse on Vulcan, because they don't even get a big tank of water, and they only get 3 water bottles to start. So you think Venus has it hard. Printed out these oxygen filters just because the next thing we're going to need after all of this is a way to filter our waste tank without just dumping it every time. That'll be project number 2 after water is taken care of. looks like we're gonna make it. Still got 49% thirst. Little bit of water left in a bottle inside. And all the parts we need to connect our big tank of water to our filler. But you know what they say? When you solve problem number 1, problem number 2 gets a promotion. So after we get the water filling all set up, then we're going to have to worry about how to cool this place down, how to filter our waste tank. Oh, we got to get this tank out of the way. Oh, that's always a fun thing to try. Here we go. Oh. Ah. Yep, this is a fun game. Whatever developer came up with this, like, were you just laughing the whole time you were writing this? Thinking about the fun times we were gonna have playing with these tanks? There we go. Okay, stick this back in the corner. Don't let it touch a wall. I'm planning to put an ice crusher in here beside it. So, and the other thing you'll notice I'm doing is staying away from the corners of the frames, because that could potentially be contacting an outside frame, and we don't want to do that. So I want to go up, stick on the middle of the wall, stay away from where the heat is. That's the back of where the ice crusher is going to connect later. Throw some bottles in there. Drink the last little bit of water. We're almost there. Oh, we get to play this game again. Here we go. Oh, this is fun. It's like water tank golf. Or water tank putt-putt. Oh yeah. Almost there. And of course you can't even grab the handle now. Uh-huh. Yes. We're filling water. Beautiful. There we are. Yeet. Yeet. Flip our oxygen. Celebrate. We bought ourselves another few minutes of life on Venus.
Waste tank critical.
Have to do our magic trick again. And we're going to leave it there for now. If you like this, let me know in the comments. I can always do another one. Thanks. Goodbye for now.